Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy SoSo. In case you ain't know, welcome back to another dope episode of Sports with SoSo. Coming to you live, y'all. This week, the Dolphins improved to 500 on the road after beating the Jets in New York. The Heat suffered back-to-back losses and are looking for fourth quarter answers. And the Panthers lose back-to-back games at home for the first time in a long time. It's time to take a ride, y'all. Let's go. What's going on, my G? Happy Monday. We back.
Yes, sir. Another day, another dollar player, as the wise folks would say.
Yeah, man. Usually for us, it's not always a dollar, right? Sometimes like 75 cents. Sometimes it's only 35 cents.
Hey,
but the goal is to try to make the dollar. You know what I mean?
Don't nickel and dime me at the top of the show. What's going on, so?
I'm out here chilling, repping my OnlyFans shirt, the exclusive that you could only
see.
get at Empire Boutique, so make sure to hit us up with your order. You can hit us up on Instagram or shoot us an email at sportswithsoso@gmail.com to place your order today. My dog Joel is getting hooked up tomorrow. Yeah, man, we out here. And yesterday's episode was dope about the Dolphins, right?
Yeah, man. We kicked off. We had the OnlyFans, post the Black Friday massacre in New York. And it was a good one. Shout out to Martin for that episode.
Yeah, man. So let's jump into week 12, bro. You mentioned it was the first Black Friday game ever for the NFL. We had the honor of playing in it, and we played it against a rival in the New York Jets, who aren't having a great season, right? Because they lost their quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. But sometimes, you got to throw the records away, forget about who's playing well, who's playing bad, who's hurt, who's not. Because when it comes to divisional matchups, man, like they're just so tough, and you never know what you're going to get out of the game, dog. And for the Dolphins, a team who's struggled at times on the road, for them to get the victory and move forward and get back to 500 on the road was big, bro, because we're one of the few undefeated teams at home. So getting another victory on the road was huge for us.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about the defense stepping up, dog? Because I felt like they had a lot of timely plays. We talked a little bit about it on the show, but this is definitely turning into a team where the defense is the better part of what the team is, right? And it used to be the offense.
Yeah, I mean, the early storyline this year was the 70 bomb we dropped on Denver and how high-powered our offense was. Yeah. And I say it was because in the recent weeks, they've kind of regressed a little bit, and it's been the defense that has really been stepping up and quietly doing it too because, they're doing their job. They're holding opponents to either low scoring or no scoring, some shutouts and some halves, which is really impressive to do. They did it against the Chiefs, when they were in Germany. They shut them out in the second half. Our offense just couldn't come from behind, that far. But right. the defense, you can't say enough about it right now. Everybody's playing at a great level. The loss that we suffered with Jalen Phillips, that's a really bad one. That's a big blow. We also tried to go for somebody on waivers, but Houston was ahead of us. And they got that guy. I think it was Derek Barnett, maybe.
Correct.
That we were trying to get to try to fill that void. Mm-hmm. So, we got some question marks there, but, our secondary is playing great. Linebackers are playing great. The role players are doing their job. So hopefully somebody steps up, heading into the next few weeks.
Well, the good thing about the defense is now they really are being loud, right? Because, it hasn't been quiet. You mentioned the back-to-back shutouts in the second half. They got that against the Raiders and the Chiefs. And then even in this game against the Jets, they only gave up a touchdown late in the game. You know what I mean? So it was like that would have been another second half shutout where usually teams are kind of battling there. And those 30 points that their offense is averaging right now is pretty much more than enough for the defense to get the job done, which is ultimately where you want to be at, right? If you're a football team, you want that balance where your offense is doing enough or more than enough on occasions to get the job done and score touchdowns. And then you have the defense coming through, making big stops, making big plays. We mentioned it on the show, but Javon Holland's 99 interception touchdown to the house was
the Hail
an incredible
Mary
play. Yeah, bro. And those are plays that happen to a defense, to players on a defense when when they're all on firing on all cylinders, everybody's on the same page, everybody's playing with the same type of aggression, and it all works out. And those type of plays continue to happen for the Dolphins, man. We've seen those big plays coming from the defense, bro. You mentioned the injury. Yeah, losing Jalen Phillips is going to suck, right? In the immediate and in the long term. Because it's going to be a while before we see him, right? He's not going to be able to make a playoff run. Even if we make the Super Bowl, he's not coming back in time for that. So we're going to have to wait till next year to see this guy. And it's going to be up to the guys on the staff right now to step up. You know, thankfully they have enough time to prepare for our next opponent in Washington, but they still have to come and play with that same level of assertiveness, let's call it, that the rest of the guys on defense are playing with.
Yeah, no, and we got to get physical. We talked about that too on OnlyFans. This is a scrappy team, you know. Even though their record's not, you know, the greatest or not the best team, they kind of did a little fire sale right before the trade deadline. You know, got rid of some of their big players up front, but on offense, they're pretty scrappy. You know, they got some good key players there. Howell's been leading the charge. You know, I think he was leading the NFL in passing yards. But his O-line's not that great, so we should be able to get to him. As long as we can, you know, continue to, get to them, make sure that they're not on the field, you know, get their offense off the field, get our offense out there and control the clock. This should be another, you know, good margin of victory for the Dolphins this coming week.
And another road victory, right? Like, forget about who the opponent is. The fact that we have to travel, have that mentality, go stay in the hotel, wake up, practice, you know, get the motions of that city and get there and do the business. Like, those are things that we need to get accustomed to, right? Because unless we solidify home field throughout the entire playoffs, like, that's going to be a thing for us. So I'd rather us get ready for that and continue to build on those road victories, right? We're 8-3 right now, leading the division, which is huge in itself. We're going to get into that a little bit later. But right now, I feel like the biggest question heading into next week against Washington is who's starting on the offensive line. We know that Robert Jones could have played. He was held out. He should be back or at least a little bit healthier to be in contention to start. Teron Armstead, heard from Mike McDaniels today that he's going to be week to week with the quad. Like, those are big pieces of this offense. And, you know, we've seen Mostert carry the ball really well, but we haven't seen him go over 100 yards and have those big explosive plays like we've been seeing in the earlier weeks this year. And some of that has to do with the offensive line, right? Because I feel like once we get those guys solidified and everybody into their starting slots, then we'll see those explosive plays continue to happen more often. Same thing with Devon Achane. You know, he could have played this Sunday, but I don't think we needed him. Jeff Wilson's been doing a great job of providing that change of pace back, right? So if it's another week where we're just like, you know what, let's hold this kid out, let's let him get really healthy for the time that we need him, which is the playoffs. That's another good thing for us. And I don't think that he's going to play in Washington either, but we'll see, right, as the rest of the practices goes down.
I mean, if he's you know, still recovering and we got guys that can fill that void, you know, I'd rather just save him. This is a guy that could potentially be our long-term guy. You know, we don't want to risk it right now if we got a couple other healthy guys. Raheem too is doing great. I think it's also part of the play calling. You know, maybe because of the fact that we know we don't have, you know, healthy guys on the O-line, we don't want to commit too much to the runs, you know, that we've, you know, talked about. We want to see more runs on those third and shorts and things like that. And, you know, down near the goal line, you know, we want to make sure we get the ball on the ground. Hasn't been, you know, the play calls in favor of that. You know, we saw in this last game, Mostert, you know, those two big runs that he had were at the end of the game, towards the end of the game, you know, with a gas just defense already. And, you know, we were still bringing it. So, hopefully we can change it up in these next couple games and start, you know, kind of start the pace of the game with more of a run scheme.
We're gonna need to because, you know, I'm banging on this drum until I can't no more, dog. Yeah, but we're gonna have to become a physical team at some point. You know, the throws are awesome, the timing routes are awesome, and we know we have the rhythm and the accuracy to pull those off, but we really do need to become a more physical team when it comes to running. And we're going to need a healthy offensive line if we're going to be able to do that, right?
Did you see the game winner between the Eagles and the Bills?
Yes.
So I mean that was the definition of physical right there, man. That last play, that Jalen Hurts touchdown, where they literally put it on the ground. I get it. I'm not saying that Tua needs to be the one to put it on the ground, but just the fact that they're
No.
running the ball. You have Kelsey, their center, their leader, is pulling, coming around, getting the lead blocked, closing out the edge, and opening up room for this guy to, on fourth
Yep.
and 1 or whatever it is, first and goal, whatever. They're right on the goal line. Just run the ball, get physical, bodies on bodies. And the Eagles do that. That's something that I think
Yeah.
we can try to aspire to be as well.
I think that we have done it. We just haven't been great at it. You get what I'm saying? Like we haven't been consistently, trying to do this game in, game out, be physical, game in, game out. There was those 2 third down plays where we threw it to outside, where we're putting ourselves in danger to have a fumble or something like that instead of trying to run it. The 2 times that we did run it on third and short, we got the first down because Mostert was running physical that day. So those are the things that we need to do, in my opinion, in order to kind of keep that balance. And not only that, the more times that we run the ball, we're wearing out their defense, and Washington doesn't have a great defense. So that allows our defense to come on the field and be fresh. Right now, this defense is really ramping it up to close out games. 7 points allowed in the second half in those 3 games that we've mentioned. Dolphins are 2-1, not a coincidence. Could have been 3-0 in those games. And with having 24 takeaways this season, I'm really, like super, super confident in this defense's ability to make plays when it matters. Yeah, they will get beat here and there. They're going to have penalties here and there, but we didn't see a lot of it. It's going to happen. It's the NFL. But when it's a big play or we need a fumble, we need a sack, we need an interception, I feel confident in this defense right now to come up with it, bro.
Yeah, it seems like ever since Ramsey came back, dog, this defense
bro.
just stepped it up another level.
It's crazy, dog. And I mentioned it to one of my friends, bro. Like this is gonna go down as one of the best defensive backs that we've had as a group. When you're talking about Ramsey, Howard, and Javon Holland all back there at one point, like, yo, you could throw whoever the hell else you want on that field, dog. Like it's gonna be, light work for them for sure. But on the flip side of that, we're also giving the ball away too many times. We saw another 2 bad interceptions by Tua, right? That puts us at 19 as far as team giveaways, like double-digit INTs, man. That's not what I wanted to see here. Granted, it's week 12, so it's not a crazy number, but still, I didn't want Tua to be that guy. I wanted him to really have a clean season and not leave any doubt to the argument whether or not we should re-sign him and for how much, right, with the extension. In your opinion, what was your idea on those 2 giveaways that we had and how it's affecting this team?
They put us in bad spots, man. Like any, turnover like that. I mean, you get sacked, somebody misses a block, and somebody comes around the blind side and they hit you. That's one thing, but when you're the one controlling the ball and where it's going, and you're late to a read and you put the bat in a bad spot, that's on you. That's what that pick 6 was, and that was solely on Tua. For making that decision right there. So it doesn't look great, especially the last couple of weeks. It's kind of been the trend. He's been giving the ball away. A couple of weeks, I think the game against the Raiders, that opening drive, I think it was that he was scrambling and lost the ball. Those are things that we don't need, especially moving into the most important part of the season, which is the playoff push, in these last 6 games.
Yeah.
We can't be giving away the ball, especially when we're winning, the turnover battle on the other end. Our defense is making plays. We can't give that back up to the other team and give them that momentum blatantly like that. Again, they make a big play on something, somebody makes a really crazy play. All right, understandable, but we can't just lob it up and give them the easy ones like that, Tua.
For sure, especially against bad teams, right? Because bad teams are always looking for that spark, that change of pace, that momentum shift that allows them to get back into the game and compete with a team that they would have no business competing with otherwise, right? And that's going to be the same story against Washington, right? We're obviously a better team than Washington, right? Not only because our record says so, only because our quarterback is better, running backs are better, offensive weapons are better, like defense is better. Like we're just a better team overall, right, than Washington. So I expect us to go out there and win. But we have to remember, last year we were also 8-3. We were also feeling very confident. We suffered some injuries that really took this team apart. So we need to make sure that we're handling things a lot differently than we did last year, both on and off the field, right, to avoid those mistakes. Because we can't have two meltdowns back to back where we're doing really great at one point in the season, everything's looking really promising, and then boom, something happens and everything else falls apart. We need
No.
to keep it together. We need this offensive flow to get back on his feet. We need the defense to keep playing well. We need the coaches and the play calling to keep improving week to week, right? And coming up with better plays. So let's see what happens, man. Especially taking advantage of Buffalo losing to the Eagles. You mentioned that game, and how we were going to talk about it. Like now they're 5-5, bro, or what? 6-6, I think 5-6, some shit like that. The Bulls are, but my point being is that like we are in full control of the AFC East, looking really strong in the AFC in period, like in total when it comes to the conference and playoff position. So we need to continue to play for the record. You know what I mean? Like it's not about, oh, it's an easy team that we're facing. Let's go out there and beat them. Nah, we're fighting every week, dog, to stay afloat in the race, to make sure that we're ahead of other teams and that we're not giving any opportunities to these teams to catch up to this. Yeah, Buffalo's 6-6. Well, we're 8-3, dog. Like we need to keep this momentum and keep it riding, dog. Keep the show rolling as long as we can in the way that we're doing it.
Absolutely. Keep pushing. We got to keep pushing. We got to separate even further.
Yeah, bro. And we have to. And it starts on Sunday, right? 1 o'clock kickoff, kicking Washington's ass on Sunday. That's what we're going to do. We're going to handle that business and continue to put pressure on the rest of the AFC teams to win like we are, dog. That'll make us 9-3. Man, and that's just, it's really great to say that and to think that we can be there, but it also comes with a lot of expectations and a lot of weight. You know what I mean? So us as fans, the heart wants to say yes and say, we're going all in and we're going to the fucking Super Bowl. But the mind is telling you like, reel it back a little bit before we get too crazy.
I think we've already been slapped back to reality on that whole Super Bowl talk. For right now, the goal, the quest is just a playoff victory. But the good news is we don't have to wait all the way to Sunday for Dolphins football. We got Hard Knocks in season Wednesday night, I think, or Tuesday night.
Tuesday.
It's Tuesday, so it's tonight by the time you're hearing this. I'm going to be tuning into that. I want to see what happened, between last week and this week with that, that win. So I want to check that out. I hope you guys check it out too.
Absolutely, man. That's great programming, bro. HBO, they always come with that fire, dog. And the fact that we're on national TV getting some love, bro, like tune in, record this shit because God knows when we're going to see, the South Florida teams in a good light.
Exactly.
Sometimes. So let's see what happens. Let's jump on over. Wait, before we do this, dog. Lock of the week, dog. We almost forgot. We tripping.
I'm not prepared myself, today at the moment.
Excellent. This is how we roll now, dog.
But let's see if I had to see what I'm just looking up spreads right now. We're a 9.5 point favorite on the road.
There's 50.5, and money line is 450 to the Dolphins. So let's hear your pick. Give me 2 or 3 for the parlay.
All right, you want a 3-pick parlay?
I want a 2-pick.
2-pick parlay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say for sure interception. Sam Howell interception.
I like that.
Lock that in there. And let me get a Raheem Mostert rushing touchdown or anytime touchdown. Let's go Raheem Mostert anytime.
I like that. For me, I'm gonna stick with the over 50 points, right? I can see Sam Howell getting a touchdown or two, right? And being a double-digit scoring day for them, and then seeing the Dolphins explode for 30, 35 points and get to that range where we can go over 50. So I'm taking them. And I'm going to take the spread, dog. 9.5 on the road. I know it seems like a lot, but this Dolphins offense hasn't clicked yet. They're due. It's been about 3 weeks, so expect an explosion because your boy SoSo said so.
Would love a 42-10 victory here. That'd be a nice little win.
Let's go, dog. Let's go. It's possible, son. It's possible. Oh, yeah. I'll take a 37-14 game cut. All right, let's jump into the Heat, man. The Heat, they suffered back-to-back losses. They need some fourth-quarter answers, dog, because the first time they suffered back-to-back losses since late October, early November. But it's been the fourth-quarter meltdowns that's really gotten to this team, dog. And the one that hurts the most was that 100-98 loss to the Knicks in New York because we only scored 11 points in that 14th quarter. After being ahead double-digit, I think we were ahead 21 points at one point in that game. So, like, we know we're missing Tyler Hero, and I mentioned it in the last episode where we're gonna see these games where his presence is felt, right, or his absence is felt because of the lack of scoring, and nobody else had it going that evening. Not Jimmy, not Bam, not Duncan, none of the guys off the bench. Like we couldn't find any answers in the fourth quarter, and
Well,
that's a thing that I know that Hero would have done for sure for us.
well, that night I don't think we had Duncan for that game,
No,
and
he missed that game. You're right.
going into that game, Bam was questionable too. There was a question around whether Bam was going to be available to play that night. In the end, he was able to play, and he did have a double. You know, he did decent. I think he went like 20 and 12 or something like that.
Right.
You know, I can't remember exactly right off the top of my head, but he did all right. You know, and man, like we had a 20-point lead. Like we were up. We had plenty of momentum. You know, plenty of cushion. And we just let them get back in the game, man. That's the second time. That pisses me off too, man, because we just saw it, I think, the week prior to that, or maybe 2 weeks prior to that, where we had the lead for 59 minutes in the game, or I'm sorry, 47 minutes.
It was like 46 minutes and some change.
And we just gave up the lead, you know what I mean, at the last minute. And it's like, what are we doing, you know, to these teams that we should be beating? But they didn't have a great night either. You talk about us, they didn't have a great night either. They had a bunch of turnovers. Not. Julius Randle had like 20 turnovers that night. Wasn't really scoring for them. So we had no reason to lose that game.
And look, Brunson really didn't pop off until like the end of the fourth quarter, dog. Right. That's when he really hit some shots that really brought New York back in the game and put the game away for them. But besides that, it's like, all right, let's find ways that we can draw up plays, dog. If the time, and this is the problem. When the pace is quick, that he can outscore anybody, can score with anybody, no problem. The moment you force the Heat to slow it down, that's when things change. That's when the possession becomes harder. That's when Jimmy's offense doesn't necessarily translate because he has to work his way to find the advantage, to get the matchup that he needs in order to get to the bucket. Or we're relying on the last second shot where it's an extra pass to an extra pass to an extra pass, and it's like, well, fuck, but now we have the wrong guy shooting with 2 seconds left on the clock. Those things that happen to the Heat happen too much for a team this well coached. And I don't know if it's the players' execution or if it's Spo telling these guys to slow down the offense. But that just opens everybody else's eyes to those two glaring needs that I continue to harp about with this team. The lack of scoring, which everybody said that Hero's the win streak, no Hero, this, that, and the third. Yeah, but I bet you're missing his 21 points a game now, right? Absolutely. The second thing is the lack of a real floor general. No disrespect to Kyle Lowry, Josh Richardson, any of these guys that are playing point guard for us. What's the other kid's name? Drew Smith. You know, none of those guys. No disrespect, but they're not good point guards.
Off for the season.
They're not good point guards. They're not good point guards. If they were good point guards, they may not be here, dog, because they would have been on another team already. You know what I'm saying? And that lack of a floor general kills us, dog, because of the type of offense that we have. You look at Bam, he's a guy that needs to be in rhythm for that jumper to fall and the rest of the rolls to the basket to really be working, right?
Right.
But you need to have a good passer, which is the guy running the pick and roll with Bam. We don't have a great passer in that point guard position. Same thing with Jimmy. Jimmy's offense works great when he has somebody feeding him the ball and he can run and get into positions where he's established and it's like, all right, here's a great pass, go to work. But guess what? You don't have that player who's a point guard that can distribute those type of passes consistently and not be a burden to the rest of the offense by knocking down shots efficiently. Not necessarily needing a 20-point scorer like people wanted with Dame, but you need a guy who's going to give you that 15, every night with the 6 to 8 assists, shooting 51%, 47% from the field, and giving you a couple of three-pointers a night. That's not too hard to ask, but that's not what we're getting from this current rotation. And until we do, we're going to see these struggles, bro. We're going to see these struggles.
Yeah. No, and the struggles continued the very next night after that game. We ended up sitting Bam. I don't know if Jimmy played that night. I mean, we basically had the entire, background dancing cast, led by Jaime Jaquez and, Josh Richardson and Lowry and stuff. So that was a pretty much guaranteed out. And what's interesting? I got a question for you, dog. I really had the feeling, that I should have faded the Heat that night, knowing none of these guys were playing. But I didn't. My fandom didn't allow me to bet against the Heat.
I can't do that.
And in retrospect, I should have. We lost 112 to 97. So, I mean, you're talking a 15-point loss there. They definitely would have covered. That is, the Nets would have. Am
Yep.
I wrong for that? Should I have taken it? Should I have been smart and logical and taken, the fade, knowing the insider
Always.
knowledge on the Heat?
Always bet where the smart money goes, brother. I know
Mm.
the heart wants to say yes. Then if that's the case, skip the game, right? Like the Panthers, I'll get to them, but every now and then I have to skip them, right? Especially if it's for a winning bet, right? Like, hey, this team to win. If it's to cover a spread, maybe I feel more comfortable, right? But the real issue is, like I said, man, like you can't rely on the Heat when they have a lead now in the fourth quarter, right? Like as far as right now, currently, there's no Heat fan that feels confident in this team's ability to close out games consistently. And it's a lot of it has to do because of the type of offense that we're lacking. You know what I mean? And that has to do with what Hero brings to the table. You know what I mean? Like missing a 20-point score for your team, dog, is a lot. That's devastating for a team that doesn't have too many of those guys. We mentioned Bam earlier. He had a great game against Brooklyn. You know what I mean? He did his thing, but he shrunk in the fourth quarter a little bit. He found it hard to get his offense going. Jimmy too. And then in this Brooklyn game, we didn't even give ourselves a chance because we really didn't come out with energy. We were down pretty much the entire game and never had a lead. So what type of energy are our rest of the guys? You know what I mean? And it sucks that Jaime Jaquez Jr. is the one outshining the rest of the other guys right now. Besides Duncan and his hot streak of recent, like Jaime Jaquez has been the most consistent player. Now, he's not necessarily giving us the most point night in, night out, but when you're talking about effort, when you're talking about knowledge of where to be, how to defend, grabbing rebounds, attacking loose balls, he's doing it in the Heat way and excelling everybody else. So it hurts to see that effort, you know what I mean, coming from the rookie because we have other guys that should be established. The only one that gets a pass is Caleb because Caleb is coming back from an injury. And Caleb was the only 24 scorer in that game against Brooklyn coming off the bench. So I think he's getting back to his rhythm as well.
Yeah, but we also got to, throw in for the context that this is the end of a long road, road streak that we had. So at the very end of it, we just decided to pull these guys out. The thing to know too about the Knicks game that we lost, that was actually one of those in-season tournament games, and we would have eliminated the Knicks had we won that game. Yep. I don't know if that matters or not, but the other thing I wanted to ask you, I understand what you're saying about Hero, and how we're missing him now. What is the timeline? What is the latest news on Tyler Hero?
Bro, I haven't heard anything concrete. So for me, all that tells me he's at least 2 months away because they're not going to rush him back. You know what I mean? So we're talking about him not really playing in December, which is a congested holiday schedule anyways. So you're not going to try to bring him back in order to get the rhythm of that, right? I doubt he'll play in those in-season tournament games because they'll obviously start to meet more and he'll be coming off that injury. So I'm looking for him to be part of the rotation early January, mid-January, which is fine, right? Because again, you don't want to rush this guy back. We do need him right now. But if you tell me, hey, you got an 85%, 80% Hero right now, or a not 100% Hero in January, I'm taking the 100% Hero without a doubt, right? Because that's going to help us in the playoff push, regardless of wherever we're at in the seeding. And right now, we're not doing bad, right? As far as the standing goes, the Heat are still doing their thing. They dropped down from 4 to 6, right? But they're still above 500, turning 10-7 on the season, 4-1 at home, really good, and 500 on the road, which is where exactly you want to be if you're a basketball team, especially for a team that like us that's lacking a lot of extra firepower. Let's say, right? We're lacking a lot of extra firepower at the moment. I did notice that over the weekend, since we had played Chicago, a lot of that talk about Levine is picking up now, and I don't think that that's the move just yet, but it's encouraging to know that the Heat are out there talking to people, knocking on doors, seeing what's available, because we can definitely use an upgrade.
Man. We're definitely missing another piece here.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. And it's not a knock on the guys that we have right now. It really isn't, dog. But what this team needs is a really consistent player. That's what it needs. It needs another Jaime Jaquez or better, right? I would prefer a veteran, right? But like we need a guy with that type of energy, that type of moxie to play and come in and say, yo, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to play Heat basketball. He reminds me a lot of UD, bro. You know what I mean? He reminds me a lot of UD, not necessarily the game, but how they approach the game and how they attack the game, and they don't give up on shit. You know what I mean? So I like Hawkins, man. I think we need another player like him. Once we get Hero back, the offense will start to flow a lot better, and we'll see those high-scoring offenses games, night in, night out. Now we finally get some home games, though.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. I mean, we know how we do at home, dog. We hold it down at home at the Kaseya Center.
Dog. And we get that pizza mañana. You know what I mean?
Sir.
Because the 305 knows how to get lit, man. And these home games are a real good chance for this team to really rest and recover, and give the guys that are kind of ailing a little bit, having some nagging injuries, the chance to sleep in their own beds for a week and really wake up and take their kids to school, do what they got to do, be in their own routine, and give them that break. You know what I mean? So that way they can kind of feel revitalized when they're on the court, man, because we're playing some hard teams. We got the Dame game on Tuesday by the time you guys are hearing this. So, we got Milwaukee in town. That's always a tough matchup for us. But now this season, it means a little bit more, right?
Oh, yeah.
I have no doubt this guy's going to get some booze when he hits the floor on Tuesday night. And then after that, we got Indiana twice. And Indiana is one of those tough teams that never really go away, dog. They're currently kicking a lot of teams' ass, dog. They're 6-4 in their last 10. And,
found that out.
Yeah, bro, and they've been playing really well and really good on the road too. They're above 500, 3-2. So that's a team we got to look out for. They're gonna be hungry. Hopefully, we give them a little bit of that South Beach vibe. You know what I mean? And be like, come party at Tootsie's. We got bottles for you guys. And then they end up having bad nights both night on the courts, dog.
Maybe they have
players like to party, dog.
Yeah, maybe they have really good nights that lead to really bad nights.
Yeah, I prefer that. Come enjoy Miami, guys.
Yeah.
Indiana, you guys don't get this type of weather. It's still nice in the winter here. Like, come enjoy Miami.
There is prime right now, I must say. It's really good weather.
Absolutely, dog. But let's handle business tonight. By the time you guys are hearing this, let's get that pizza mañana for Wednesday. Beat the Bucks. Stay 5-1 at home, man, and get that losing streak off our back. Right. This is an opportunity, like we talked about with the Heat. This is one of their biggest hurdles year in, year out. Being able to stop losing streaks and start winning streaks when you have an opportunity to do so. And 3 straight home is definitely an opportunity to do so, man. Let's see. Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Those are the Pacer games for you guys listening, all right? Let's talk about the little brother of the Miami Heat who likes to mirror everything that big brother does here. The Panthers, they lose at home back-to-back for the first time this season.
Killing me.
They're killing us, bro, because it looks like they're trying to mirror the Heat too much. Like, come on, guys, we get it. You both guys want to be successful, great runs in the playoffs and all that, but let's win some games here on different nights here,
I mean, all right. So the first game was against the Bruins, right? And the Bruins, The Bruins are hot. They were hot last year. We took them out in the playoffs, which is big for us. So that's something that we have over them. But they're hot right now when we're talking currently. And we were never really in that game, dog. They took off with an early lead and they kind of never looked back on us.
Dog, they manhandled us, dog, 3-1 that night. And it sucks because I had pointed that game out as a revenge game for these guys, right? Because we lost that overtime thriller to them earlier in the season in Boston. So I thought, I'm thinking, I'm going to lay some money here on the Panthers. Like, these guys are going to come out with a vengeance. And nada. Like, they just came out here and got straight up manhandled by Boston. But it's not surprising because, like you said, Boston has been doing it to everybody this season in the NHL. One of the top 3 teams in the NHL, one of the best records in the NHL, and this proves why, right? Because they're able to beat good teams at their own ice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And only really great teams are able to do that. That's how we saw the Panthers dominate 2 years ago, right? Beating good teams on the road. So not surprising that it happens to Boston. And Boston actually increased their lead on the Panthers for the division. Panthers are still in second place in the Atlantic, but now you find yourself with a further gap when it comes to points between Boston and Florida right now, man. It's tough. And then, they were at that time, and then they slipped a little bit more because they suffered the back-to-back loss, like I said, against Winnipeg. And
that's the upsetting one.
More,
that's the upsetting one right there, bro. The Boston one, you can take that on the chin and be like, all right, they're better than us right now. They got us. But the one against the Jets, dog.
Come on.
What happened, dog?
What, that's the first time they've been shut out since the first game of the season? That's
Embarrassing.
2 months of hockey, dog. And
Wasn't that
for
a home
this
game?
off a home game, dog, and it was the first time in 127 years, 27 games that we get shut out at home, dog, including the playoffs.
Sheesh.
February 24th, 2021 to be exact.
Ah,
So
bro.
yeah, man, just those things that really upset you, dog. Because again, you think that after the Boston loss, you're like, all right, we're at home here. We got to make sure that we get this ramped up. You don't put up anything. You go down early. You don't fight back. You don't make the most of any of your penalties. And it's like, all right, did you guys come with the right energy tonight? Because
Right.
the scoreboard shows that you guys
It
came
did
out
not
with
reflect
zero
that.
energy. And it's not a shot on Big Bob, too, because he made 30 saves or 29 saves that night. It could have been a lot worse. And this dude played really well. So imagine, like, he had to feel frustrated as well to give a really good effort and have no type of offensive support, which is so weird for this Panthers team. The guy shut out at home, dog. Like, just weird, man.
I just couldn't make anything happen that night, dog. Power plays were non-existent. Just couldn't make shit happen. And again, Big Bob. I mean, there's only so much that guy can do. When we're not controlling the puck, keeping it on our side, and these guys are just chunking up shots. It's law of averages, bro. They're bound to make a couple, and that's exactly what happened that night.
Bound to happen, dog. And you know what? We got Barkov back in that game, which is great. But like, I feel like you always got to give a player 2-3 games, to really get into that full game speed, not be afraid of hitting, not worried about what's coming up to the siding. And not that it doesn't happen all the time, but like it stays back there in the back of their mind, right? Because they don't really want to get hurt. But at the same time, we have to be careful with Barkov. He's a very important piece here. So bringing him back slowly is a good thing. I love to see him get in the minutes, but let's not depend on him. We have enough good defenseman player, right? Montour got to step up. Like we got to have these guys back up Barkov by playing better. Don't make Barkov be the best defensive player, right? The harder he has to work, the worse it is for the Panthers because then we're wearing him out sooner. So I really, really want to see the rest of the defensive linemen kind of just step up and carry a little bit of his weight before we get into the heavy part of the season. We're still early on in the season. Panthers are still doing great when it comes to the standings. So they're in good position. And let's just do the same thing with the Heat, right? Got to break this stride and figure out ways to break losing streaks and start off winning streaks with opportunities that are given. And they're being given that opportunity with a challenge, right? Going 3 straight on the road against very beatable teams. They're taking on Ottawa tonight. By the time you guys hear this, they're 8th in the Atlantic, which is pretty much last. Then you get Toronto Tuesday night at 7. They're 5th in the Atlantic, at least 6.5 points behind the Panthers before finishing up in Montreal on Thursday, who are 7th in the Atlantic Division. So 3 very winnable games, 3 very good opportunities to start a winning streak and really get back into that place where people see you as a playoff challenge.
I mean, you say winnable games, but Ottawa's 8-8, so that's a coin flip. That's a 50-50 shot. And then you also got sitting at 10-6 is Toronto. So, those guys, they got a couple wins under their belt too. That's not so easy, nothing to sneeze at. And then you got Montreal's 9-10. They're only 1 game behind, under 500. It's too early to say right now. I know in theory they're all winnable games, but on a 2-game skid, we got to wonder, how these cats are going to bounce back.
True, but all of these teams, Joel, are on losing streaks. All of these teams are on losing streaks right now. Granted, they're not huge losing streaks, not like 5-game losing streaks, but they've lost a game or 2 here back to back. So these are opportunities for the Panthers, who are better teams than these teams, to go out there and win. You know what I mean? It's not like we're playing Tampa Bay after they lost 3 in a row, and it's like, well, shit, we're gonna get an ass kicking here, right? No, go out there and show that you're better than the teams that you're on paper better than, because you know that you have better talent. And that's what we have. We have better talent at the moment with this Panthers team. So it's not crazy to see them go out there and win 3 straight road games, right? It wouldn't be crazy.
No, it's not.
And then they got a tough game at home against the Islanders, right? Like that's a tough team, very historic, and they're challenging for a top 4 seed in the Metropolitan Division. So when they come back home, it's not like it gets any easier. So the Panthers have to find ways to put winning streaks together like they did 2 years ago because it helps them. This is not like basketball where you can put teams away or sometimes teams give up. In hockey, these teams ain't giving up, man, especially when they know that they can push it to overtime and walk away with a point. So Panthers got to do a better job here on the road.
Big facts. We need to bounce back. We need to bounce back, man. My
need to bounce
parlays ain't
back.
hitting lately, man. I need some hits, man.
Come on, man. Come on. Come on, baby. But you know what? You know who came through if you had them on a parlay? The Miami Hurricanes football team. They end the season on a high note, man. Get a big victory up in Boston College, 45-20. Good bounce back game for Tyler Van Dyke. He ended up with 290 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. Harry Parrish Jr., he had a great game too. 11 carries for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. And this is what the Miami Hurricanes offense was supposed to look like all season long, folks. And here we are in the last game of the season. But at least they made themselves bowl eligible.
Hey, all right. What are they going to play in the Rice-A-Roni Bowl?
Yes, over here in Miami Gardens.
Trash Pal?
Trash Pal. We're 6,000 seats being sold. Nah, man. I mean, like
against Central Arkansas.
Yeah, man. What it does for them really is like, all right, you end the season on a good note without having really to point fingers at anybody and saying you're the reason that we lost all these games this year, right? Which is okay. But more importantly, it closes the chapter on TBD time here, you know. And it's like, all right, Papo, good job. You won your last game here. Good luck in the transfer portal. May you end up in greener pastures, right? And now you have an opportunity to get prepared for a bowl game where you have time to get ready for a game, really implement the offense, get a quarterback ready, a quarterback for the future ready, and see what he has in this opportunity. Because whether we win or lose this bowl game doesn't matter, right? The fact that we're in a bowl game is great, and we need to continue to get into games and get into better games with better seasons. But this is an opportunity to kickstart next year and really showcase what we could be next year. I'm looking forward towards next year because we have a lot of incoming talent on the offensive line. We've spoken about it here on the podcast before. So let's see. Year 3 of the project should be a lot better. You know what I mean? Back-to-back seasons where we're above 500. Could have been worse. It wasn't. And we know that we have a good QB in Emory Williams. We're just going to have to wait till next year to see him. Very
glass half full outlook by you.
You have to with these Hurricanes, dog. If not, you're going to pull your hair out, dog. And I don't got too much to spare, dog.
They got to prove it to me, dog. To get
absolutely.
me back on there, they got to prove it to me.
And I'm not saying that Cristobal's on the hot seat. There's no way that's coming out of my mouth because he's far from that. But it's like, no, dude. But it's like, all right, 3 years in, you've pretty much wiped the slate clean with everything that you had to get rid of, right? Now you have the opportunity to get all your incoming classes that you recorded in your first year here and give these guys opportunities to play. Like I said, we have a redshirt freshman that didn't see the year this year. He's supposed to be really good. We saw what Emory Williams can do with giving the wide receiver group that we have here, which is very talented. So there's things to look forward to. We know this defense is going to be better next year with the monsters that we got brewing. So yeah, optimism, but they have to show it to us. And Cristobal has to show it to us. And he has to hit a couple of players in the portal and continue to do well in recruiting. So let's see him put it all together next year. Good luck, football Hurricanes team. Good luck.
Good luck, Canes.
Good luck. Last thing to wrap up, David Benavidez, if you took him with the knockout like I did on Saturday night over Demetrius Andre, congratulations. You won some money after his corner stopped it before the 7th round. It was an impressive fight for Benavidez, man. He really stamped why he should be fighting Canelo next before any other opportunities get presented to Canelo, man. This kid is a real beast, man. And some doubt him because, he's not necessarily the most technical boxer or has the fanciest footwork or something. This kid stands in front of people, can take a punch and delivers punches. Like, very old school boxer, very exciting boxer. And I'm glad that he put on that performance because I would love to see him go up against Canelo before it becomes too late in Canelo's career.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to see some more greatness. So let's get him going.
Get him going, man, especially in that super middleweight division, bro. It's like it's a dope division. It's a good weight class. You know, a lot of potential fighters there. Let's see some action there, man. Let's see some action there. But yeah, dog, we got to go watch some Monday Night Football, dog.
Oh,
that's the one, and it's time
to
tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
To tell another friend.
To go cop an OnlyFans T-shirt at Empire Boutique.
And tell them that your boy and Joel SoSo sent you because he might hook you up with a discount depending on who you are. You know what I'm saying? You just got to make sure to drop in those keywords, man. Anytime you shop there, just let them know it's us. All right? But these shirts are on fire, and you can only get them at Empire Boutique. So continue to support the show. Continue to show us some love on YouTube. And until next time.
Peace.